Welcome everyone to Politically High Tech with your host, Elias. I'm gonna say this new season, it's been a blessing. It's been great and getting a lot of great new guests. And I was worried because some of the old ones, if I'm gonna be as nice as I can, they're getting a bit stagnant, and some just don't even respond. Hey, everybody's busy. I don't take that the wrong way. I get it. It's a lot of things going on. A lot of us are trapped in social media. Our attention spans are, I would say, worse than a goldfish at this point. And I've been saying that for a while, and I knew this was going to happen because I get easily distracted. I could imagine other people, and yeah, I'm calling myself out a little bit. Especially when something exciting, I'm like a big kid in this. If I see something that's fun and exciting, I'm geared towards that. Even it's away from the mission, and then this is why your power of your, just I call it power of why or your purpose brings you back. If you get distracted, you need that. It's just so important. I said, oh, okay, wait, what was I here for again? Okay, we bounce back from it. So, I'll say a little distraction is okay, but as long as you don't drift off like to the far ends mentally, physically, to the point that it creates some concern. I mean, like little minor, ooh, what's this? Ooh, what's that? Like a kid in the candy shop kind of thing. It's fine. But if you drift far off to the point that you lost, you're a missing person, then that's tragic. All right. So this is going to be a more positive. This is the self-feedback I keep to myself. Some of it's been on dark stuff. I mean, and I don't mind balancing out. And thank goodness I found this guest here. And yes, I reached out to her, and she's going to help me balance things out a bit with positive impact, real positive impact, not that stupid TikTok nonsense, that toxic positivity and all that garbage. Well, this is real global impact. Okay, I'm tired of people just using that as buzzword. Oh, I'm gonna make an impact. What impact? The only impact you're doing is pissing me off sometimes. That's the impact you're making. But hey, let me start with a random monologue because we're gonna get into the good stuff here. Let's welcome Morgan DeNicola. And the question I always ask all my new guests, what do you want the listeners and viewers to know about?
Run my family's foundation, so I do local and global philanthropy and charity work. And I also sit on the board as the vice chair of an NGO, non-government organization, that works with U.S.-based embassies around the world, Congress, Senate, and different ambassadors and diplomats globally to continue culture programs as well as education programs. And I also sit on the board of Elmwood Park Zoo, where I promote conservation and education on animals.
Yeah, that is a mouthful. So she's doing a lot of good work in plain English. Conservation. Look, I agree. Look, I think the thing I always think of is just the framing of it, because there's climate change, there's conservation. Those two camps clash with each other. And you said you have dealt with conflicting, even different opinions just to be more successful. I mean, how you navigate that? I'm just gonna make it a little political. The right will call it conservation if they care about the environment. The left will frame it as climate change. And they got two ideas. They're very passionate. They're about to get into a fight. So far it's verbal, but if we don't stop it, it could get even physical because passion and heat is too high. So how do you navigate that? How do you become more successful with these passionate opinions?
First, I always comment on the fact that language is much more complex than we give it credit for. Sometimes it doesn't matter what you want to call certain things. What matters is your mission and your ultimate goal. So on both sides of this, people want to do good things for the environment. That's bottom line. So what you have to do is just come up with a common goal and stop nitpicking the exact verbiage, because that's also going to continue to change. Language is constantly changing. My nieces remind me of that. Every different place in the world that I go to reminds me. Dialogue, the verbiage isn't as important as the ultimate goal. So whenever I see two groups of people that are about to clash over something like that, I say, no, ultimately, what is it that you want to do? Let's find the common ground and let's actually get the work. Let's get it done and not talk about getting it done. That's a big problem that I see, is people love to talk and not do. So I encourage doing.
I perfectly agree with that, and that's what frustrates me as an independent in the middle. I said, shut up and get things going already. I mean, look, you're talking, and most of the time, people just realize they talk about the same thing. They just use different verbiage, and you're absolutely right about that. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to try to argue with that or try to even nitpick that because it's so true. I think that's what stalls so much good work. And I mean, I had to come up with a good example that, yeah, well, and a legitimate one, climate change and conservation. They both want to improve the environment. That's the bottom line. That's the common denominator. That's foundational. But not, and I see this in work. I see this even in some political debates. A lot of argument I even add is even on the how. The what is not really is the cause of argument is how they want to even achieve that goal. And some are more pragmatic about it. Let's be realistic, and some could be a bit idealistic or ambitious. And probably some people there that fall in between. And yeah, I get frustrated as a person because I like talking, but I like purposeful talking that leads into an action, not just blah, 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 and the other one, blah, 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 blah for a long time. I'm going to claim ADHD and tune out and go somewhere else. Yes, I'm going to claim that because you could call it premeditated. That's my fancy way of saying I'm bored. You're wasting my time. So I perfectly agree with that. And that should not be challenged. But if you feel angry about it, comment section, I'm feel free. I don't think you're gonna do much with it unless you're just super miserable at this point, and you do need mental health. And we're gonna touch a little bit about that later. And you could use this tip, especially you Reddit users. You just find anything to get angry about. Go outside, clean air, go to a garden or something, okay? I love y'all, but I'm a tough lover, and I'm just going to say like it is. So let me just get to a couple of definitions before I get deeper to the philanthropy and diplomat work. What does it mean to be a diplomat? It gets thrown a lot. I think people don't really grasp what that means.
Well, diplomacy, I love that. Immediately everybody goes political. Diplomacy is so much more than that. It's your ability to maintain relationships. That's what being diplomatic is. You do it with significant others, you do it with family, you do it with your boss, you do it with your coworkers. It requires the ability to navigate relationships, find a way to compromise, find a way to be collective, reflect. And my favorite thing is be tactful. And I think a lot of people, like you said, just like to hear themselves talk or make their point, but there needs to be a sense of tact. And in order to get anything accomplished, you also need to be able to compromise. This is something that I feel like has become insanely difficult. And that's also why nothing is getting done. There has to be this ability to compromise because you need to be able to hear what the other side and the opposition is saying and to really take it in because they might potentially be seeing problems that you're not seeing or solutions that you're not seeing. So to me, being diplomatic is just being tactful, listening, the superpower of listening, responding, reflecting, and really being thoughtful in whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, even if it's just not pissing off your boss. You should be diplomatic and tactful and thoughtful in what it is that you're doing. And the more you do this, the easier it gets. The more you hear, the more you become well-rounded. And when certain situations and problems arise, you kind of remember these conversations, even if it's from somebody that you don't agree with or somebody that has a different way of doing things. Having those in your back pocket is it doesn't make you weaker. It doesn't make your perspective change. But when you have something unforeseen come, which life, it's not predictable, you have more tools. This is a benefit for you, not for your opposition. So I try to really encourage people to realize diplomacy is literally in every single thing you do, even if you're talking to your children. It really is in your day-to-day action. It's not just for politicians.
I hope you really listening to this. Now I'm going to put my serious mature hat. I hope you was listening to that because I'm not gonna lie, I even sometimes fall to, okay, if it's global issues or even political, okay, I'm slightly better than the average person. But you're right. You have to be diplomatic with family members. It could go beyond that or definitely with coworkers. I believe in diplomacy there until I'm really ticked off, and that's a whole different story. But this is why we have mental health check, because it does test our patience. I'm not gonna lie to you, it does test our patience,
Yes.
diplomacy. So it's also part of the self. Not just trying to get your point across in the most tactful, respectful kind of way. You need to test your own mental fortitude and patience, because some people are just gonna, let's be honest, and purposely mislead, twist your words a bit, and then you have to navigate that as well, especially if you want to be an effective diplomat. And then, look, I'm not saying all this is easy, but I think the rewards are great if this is done right, of course. And look, and you can't just AI and click on everything to solve your problems. No, look, I'm a pro AI, but even I know its current limitations. No, you gotta use this. You gotta use your mouth. You still gotta use your. Well, I'm a God. I believe in God. You know, you God given organs, or if you want to be atheist about it, use your organs, exercise your organs, okay? Whatever. I don't really care as much as long as you're learning. I could push some of that stuff aside, the religious and all that. Look, if you want to learn, you want to learn, okay? Enough of the nitpicking, especially to some of you. And I'm not gonna lie, actually, some of the Christians were more ticked off than the atheists. I don't know. Proving atheists right that they can behave more than you sometimes, Christians. So remember, gotta. If you want to represent God, he's not the easiest person to represent. I'm telling you, he really isn't. And if you read the Bible carefully, he really isn't. You need a meek attitude in the middle of the battlefield, metaphorically speaking. And look, let's just say not even I could achieve that. I would love to whack the person in the head at that point. Okay. So I'm just being honest. So this is what I'm learning too, people. It's not just for you listeners and viewers. It's for your hosts as well. And I've been shaped by the podcast for the better. I've even got out there advocate for more voting rights. I've won some battles, I lost some battles. That's part of life. And this podcast has helped me do that. So I've talked a lot of good topics. I've done the action. So now I can't say that anymore. I'm not just sitting in my house being comfortable and just judging people. I'm out there in the field too, so that's good. All right, enough about me. I'm sorry, I normally ask this. Anything else you want to add about diplomat, or even how you navigate with different opinions before I get to the next question?
Yeah, I think like you said, it's flexing a muscle. It's definitely learning more about yourself, because I think we forget that we continue to grow and change with every experience that we have, and our perspectives can shift. And going into that in any situation, having that knowledge of this person could potentially shift a way of your thinking and your viewpoint, and having that little bit of optimism, again, doesn't shake your foundation or your core. You're just going in to listen and be a little bit more observant, and remember that you have the potential to do that for that person as well. But you don't do that screaming. You don't do that aggressively getting in somebody's face. You do that by asking questions and being an example. And again, this isn't easy. I like, a lot of people say you make this sound very easy. When I first got into this world, the amount of times I would have to bite my tongue literally and the inside of my cheek, and I would get so angry, especially as it gets very personal. Those personal attacks. The more you practice that control and that active listening and remembering, this is a person that's just trying to shake my foundation. Ultimately, I assign value. I think we really need to realize that your reaction versus response is really going to mold a lot of the outcome. So I think we also have to remember that we have so much more power in us, and that power, that superpower of self-control and active listening, it gets easier. It becomes more of a tool. You can be in rooms with much more difficult people without having that foundation shook, without you snapping, without you being this aggressive person, but more of a person that others feel, okay, this is actually a person that's safe for me to have these conversations with. And in those moments of it being safe because you're less reactive, again, there is this beautiful moment where two people of opposition can grow and find common ground. But we need to have that power of that self-control with every practice of this. So I'm not going to sit there and say everything is rainbows and butterflies and puppy dog tails. It's not. It's not. This is a hard thing to learn to do, but we all can do it. We absolutely can. You have to just have a willingness and remember what ultimately your mission is. And then at the end of the day, you choose who you are. It doesn't matter what anybody screams at you. It doesn't matter. You choose. So practice it slowly with the very small things. Practice not being so reactive. Practice for a moment listening to somebody who has that polar opposite opinion and put yourself in their shoes, because you can take those shoes off and go right back to the way you are. It's not a permanent thing. So I want to remind everybody that this is a learned action that can very much become a part of you, that you can benefit health-wise, keeping your heart rate down, not sweating, not turning red. It becomes something that is so valuable in every aspect of your life if you just try.
I hope you was getting that, listeners and viewers, because this is, look, I have learned how to develop some active listening. Trust me, if me and her would have talked, I would say 20 years ago, I was definitely not more combative and irrational. I would have said, "You're crazy. I don't know why you told me that's some weak crap you're telling me. Listen, I don't have time for that. I'm going to get my way. If I have to ruffle some feathers or even smack somebody, I will do that." If you would talk to me 20 years ago, I was a totally different person.
Same.
All right. So, yeah, you see,
Same.
so hey, look, I just don't say this just to make you feel better, but this is real and it's achievable. Is it hard? Of course it is. I'm not going to pretend and say, "Oh, this is easy. I could do this in, a baby could do it." Oh, now you know I'm lying if I say something like that. You know I'm lying. No, babies are very irrational, okay? And they don't have diplomacy. When they want something in the middle of the night, they want it. They want the milk and all that. So that's not a good. They're cute, but they're not diplomatic. All right.
Definitely not diplomatic. No.
So they can be manipulative with their cuteness, but not diplomatic. So that's not a good example of diplomacy right there. It's just fulfill their needs. That's it. Or else you're gonna have a rough. Well, they're gonna make it rough regardless, but you love them anyways, and they're gonna grow up to be fine people. So it's a process, people. Babies can be grown to be rational, diplomatic adults. As a baby, kids, they'll pick some things up. They're learning. They're a work in progress phase, right? That's the best way to put it. The kids are a work in progress phase, and then once they hit teenagers and adults, it just gets better from there. Unless some disease really screws up, which God forbid, I don't want that to happen to anybody, not even to my enemies. Easier said than done. I had to kind of hold myself when I said even to my enemies. I had to do that because, look, listen, it's very easy. It's a given. It's human nature to be aggressive and yell and shout and attack. It is. And then, the Bible addresses about how vicious and evil human nature is. It is. I'm going to be honest. It is. And that's why it's easy to cave into that, because it's in our nature. But we could evolve and grow. We could evolve. That's the beautiful part about being a human being. Okay.
And finding those proper outlets for that anger. I'm not saying not to be an angry person. I am very much still, I get worked up in some of those rooms, and I go and find an appropriate way to handle those select words I want to say and So I do think that there's still an outlet for all of that, and not to just push it down. Just find an appropriate way to handle and get that out.
That's such a good transition to the mental health question. I mean, how do you sustain it? How do you protect it? Because I know, like I said, this could really test your patience. I mean, look, it's tempting just to throw a chair or knock this person out at times, especially when they say such, smearing names. And I mean, I can give the political example. What would the left call the opposition? Oh, fascists, authoritarians, and then the right, oh, these communist scum,
socialists.
Yeah,
woke.
All of that.
Yeah. But again, those are words, and I think people get excited about new words, so they just throw them around, and eventually they'll lose meaning anyway. For me, mental health is so important, because being in the world of philanthropy and the world of diplomacy, Depression and anxiety is ridiculous. And then on top of it, I have borderline personality disorder. So I actually grew up with a personality disorder. Yay. So mental health became a very important thing for me. And I actually just came back from the Kate Spade Global Mental Health Summit, where we discussed a lot of the different issues that women face and mental health in general, and how it is becoming an epidemic because people aren't addressing a lot of the issues that we're having. So I like to say first, it's having the self-awareness of what is going on, knowing your body, knowing when you're breaking down, knowing when you're about to snap, and finding things that alleviate a lot of that. So for me, it was a lot of trial and error. For me, it absolutely physical activity, working out, weight training, walking is so important in general to our mental health and our body, our well-being. So I find the time to make sure that I am physically active. And that to me is a very big one. And also what we put in our body. So food is insanely, our gut health is very much tied into a lot of our depressions and anxieties. We don't know that. Very few people talk about that, but digestive health is huge. So it's really, that's not to say that I don't get sad and eat an entire pizza. I absolutely do. But then I know that you have to have that balance and kind of make up for a lot of that stuff. So it's also realizing, what am I putting in my body? Do I need to disconnect from social media? That's a big one. And just to have some time that I am not staring at what other people are saying or what other people are doing, but putting on a silly show. And for me, it's cooking, baking, and being in nature. Those are great ways to shut off my brain. But it's really that self-awareness, that knowing you're getting to a bad place, knowing what works for you, and taking, I know a lot of people hate this, but I'm going to say it, taking the personal accountability in yourself to what is necessary for you to take care of you, and not waiting for somebody else to take care of you or blaming everything else around you, but taking that personal accountability in what is necessary for you to be a functional human being that contributes positively to the world around you. So that's what I'm a very big proponent of. Also, no taboo topic. If you go to therapy, therapy is wonderful. If you can find a platform to have therapy. I went to it for 10 years, loved it. And I learned to kind of reprogram my brain to see the positive with every negative. It was a forced avenue that you had to, kind of reprogram your brain. It takes years, but every time I would see something bad, I would remember something good. And it's a way of kind of bringing that balance that you were talking about to everything that's going on. Because for every bad thing, there is a good thing, but that takes energy and self-awareness and action for you to notice those things. So again, that's that personal accountability and not waiting for somebody else to show you something beautiful. You have to find it. That's on you. So those are the things that I really encourage and think are the most important first steps into getting yourself healthy and to finding out what works for you. And sometimes sometimes all that stuff doesn't work and you need to get to a doctor and you need to be on medication. That's fine. But try some other things before you go right for the pills, because there are a lot of other things that we can be doing to make ourselves healthier before that. So again, it's getting to know yourself and trying these practices.
Come on, can you debate that? That was such a rational answer right there. But there's a comment section if you want to do that. Expose your silliness if you want. That's up to you. I could care less. You do what you want. If you want to be extra spicy, you wait for this to be on Rumble, okay? Because YouTube will censor you. That's not me. Again, I have read negative comments and I could just easily laugh at them, because at the end of the day, just like you say, once I unplug, I don't even remember those comments. I remember the context, and I said, who cares? And you're so right. And like I said, if you would talk to me 20 years ago, I would actually hate you already. Because As a personal accountability, but it's their fault. You don't understand, woman. I
Yeah.
would have been saying something like that. No, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I have to learn this when I was in high school, when I used to be depressed. And I mean, it took 2 years just to seep into the head, but so, you know what? I got sick and tired of being depressed. So
Yes.
this got to be something better. You go through that introspection, which you already alluded to, self-awareness. I just got sick and tired. That's how I got over mine. You get sick and tired. Some people don't, but you're right. Personal accountability is a tough one for a lot of you because the culture is all about blaming and playing the victim, and that actually still irks me. More in a rational sense, because I said no. You want to throw a punch, yet you want to play victim.
Hmm.
When I counter, no. No. You can't have to. You can't do both roles. No, you can't do double role. No, you're either one or the other in that situation. But you're absolutely right. And you know what? Get angry. If you get angry, that means you need to help. Go get angry. Look. You let it out. Let it out. Let it out. You could think she's a witch all she wants, or you could think this host is an enabler. I don't care. If you really want to do better, you'll see that this is actually a teachable and valuable moment. Okay, I'm just gonna say it like that, because some of you, I'm gonna use the cool kids term. Y'all on copium. You're in deep denial. Okay, copium for you younger folks, and for the old folks, deep denial, on drugs, delusional. Okay, those are words I'll use just to get all the generations in there. There you go. That's the little accessibility for all of you, regardless of your age, okay? Because look, you Gen Zs, y'all are just making up. Y'all just really altered English to the point that I have to catch up,
I
and
need a
I'll
new
forget it.
dictionary. Yeah, so don't worry, I'm right there with you. Every now and then I hear a new term and I'm like, oh, now I got to get on Google. I don't I don't know what that means, but all right.
They could keep skippity. I don't care about learning that. I don't care about learning that garbage word. Y'all could keep skippity. I don't care about that word. That's just pure trash. Y'all have fun with that. I'm not gonna. There's some slangs I refuse to learn because it's just so mentally ill, in my opinion. What was it? Riz? Yeah, I'll learn Riz with you. It's short for charisma. That was more millennium, and we was pushing that one. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. And mid equals bad now. Listen. And you know what? People get freaking shocked and scared. I love when you're shocked and scared. That means I'm onto you. And if you call me okay boomer, that means I gotta restudy the dictionary. Okay boomer, old and out of touch. And yeah, it's interesting how you're talking about linguistic evolution. This is, I'll say, the radical version of it. Some of it to detriment, in my opinion. But hey, it changes. There's nothing you could do about it. I mean, I
That's
did as
right.
a
When they
kid.
have kids, their kids are going to be saying stuff that they're going to be sitting there going, I don't understand this. This is crazy. And we go around and around and around.
Yeah, it's inevitable. I'll just learn how to just suck it. It's
Yeah.
part of the cycle. It's just part of the cycle. And I used to say pwned a lot. When I told someone who was in their 40s there, I said, what does that mean? Oh, it
Hmm.
means I really beat them up in the game. Oh, okay. Yeah, but I had that fluidity. I was able to just break it down that quick, but someone's going to say, oh, I forgot. You're a boomer. You don't get it. Okay, boomer. I was, oh, Lord. So do you have to be that obnoxious? They have life experiences that you can learn from, but okay. Okay. Not for all you Gen Zs. Some of you are great people. Let's just say that. Some of you are great. You're not insta drugged. Okay. That's the term I'm going to use. And TikTok brain rot, whatever you want to call it. All right. Let me not make this too much a social media issue, but, hey, this happens in pockets. It gets a little derailed a little bit. That's the feature of it, with some relevance asterisk. And that promise is not always fulfilled. That pops up randomly, but hey, there's a reason for all of this, and catch up with your kids are learning. Even learn skibbity if you have to. This host's not gonna learn it. I looked at what I was once. I said, "What? That just means bad." And it gave this long context. I said, "Look, listen. I'm gonna play the old boomer card. Just not even care about that word because it's just so wacky. My brain cannot compute it, and I'm just gonna play old on that one. Like all the other slangs, I'll learn just to ruffle your cages to get you shocked, and and make you even cringe. Okay. Well, yeah, you're going, ooh, how you know about that? Hey, listen, look, this has been going around since I'll probably say beginning of time. Just it's just not as well documented. That's the difference.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so there you go. See a little extra fun there. I'll tell you, this is gonna be more of a positive episode for once. Normally I break that promise with some little dark. No, I'm trying to be disciplined for once. Because I normally just let me go off the rails a little bit, and then I'll be positive. And I'll be like, "That you can call me erratic. That's fine. I get it. I don't really care that much. I'm not gonna defend every single attack. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I am. Deal with it. But you love me anyway, so you listen to me. So
Yes, you're living rent free in somebody's mind. So it's fine. You win.
exactly, exactly. I didn't touch too much of the philanthropy stuff. Shame on me. Oh well. What does it really mean to be philanthropic? That's another thing I believe is just buzzwords. People just love to throw it. They get excited. They don't know what it is. You've been there, so
Yeah.
school us on that.
Okay. Well, philanthropy, I actually love the word because it comes from the Greek words for love of humanity and the benefit of public good and progress. So for me, philanthropy is and some people hate this too, but I'm still going to say it. It's the business of giving. So, philanthropy is trying to find programs that benefit everybody. Not all at the same time because that's not going to happen, but I also am insanely diplomatic in my business of giving. I find and create programs in all different worlds, all different fields that will benefit groups of individuals. I've done culture programs, conservation, um, diplomacy, cultural diplomacy, and we also do humanitarian recognition because we think that it's really important to notice people in their communities that are doing good things, because the more people get noticed, not that they're doing it to be noticed, but it encourages others and it keeps them feeling like I'm doing the right thing, I'm on the right track. We all do like that acknowledgement, and it does empower us to continue to do good things. So philanthropy, it doesn't, you don't have to be giving money. I love this because I'm a next gen philanthropist. So I like to encourage its ideas because we've had a lot of the same issues going on for years. Again, since the beginning of time. It's been very similar issues. And we've all kind of been going at them the same way. And they haven't really been being resolved. So I like to say the next gen philanthropists are thought leaders, thinkers that can look at these issues not from a they, them, but an us kind of way of looking and come up with new and creative potential ideas to resolve these. And it's also person to person. So a lot of the disconnect, the depression, the things that we go through are lack of human connection and acknowledgement of one another. And this kind of us them thing that we have going on. If we start doing a lot of more acknowledging of one another, a lot of those issues that are going on right now will be resolved. We have the potential to really, I say changing the world is impossible because there's so many of us that view the world differently, that want to live our lives differently. That's fine. It's not about changing the world as a whole. It's about changing the world for a person. That is where change really happens. It's what does that one person need for the world to change for them? And sometimes that's just a recognition of being seen, held, empathized with, having compassion. And sometimes it is very basic things: food, clothing, shelter, education, clean water. So my whole thing is encouraging that creating change is for everyone and that everyone can do it. You don't have to have money. You don't have to have the time that you have to spend this amount of time handing out food. No, it's looking at a person and having compassion and thinking, how can I make the world better for this person? So that's a lot of what I do, and a lot of engaging with people who are viewing things differently. And I say, okay, this is the issue. How do you want to see it resolved? And then I put pieces together and see if this is something that's possible, or I put people in touch with other people. I'm a connector. Because obviously I can't be in all places at once, resolving all issues. That's why we have our 4 pillars that we focus on. But if other things come along that I think are interesting or that I can possibly have a hand in helping, that's what I'm here for. I like to say I'm, a bridge for all people, even people I don't agree with, even people living their lives differently than mine. Because I think that's really where deep, true change and philanthropy and charity really comes from.
Listeners and viewers, don't be like me and claim ADHD now, okay? Yes, I'm going to be a hypocrite. I could claim ADHD. You can't, okay? Not to my podcast, at least. And not to the ones I support as well. Let me just be, a little more giving. And the reason why let me be serious now. I hope you was really getting this because, look, I had this assumption about philanthropy. Oh, you have to be very wealthy and you have to make such massive change. And that shuts down a lot of people, including me. I'm just going to throw myself in there. It's like, oh, and there's no point in me being a philanthropist. Just pay attention here. She's being more inclusive. Yeah, let me use a little woke word. Because she's not just talking about giving material, sometimes just a person to person. I will say it's positively pragmatic because changing the world is impossible, but you can make some difference in people's lives, right? And I'm sure you can make big impact on, but that's going to take a lot more time, and that's the long game. And I hope we have patience and endurance for that. That's all physical endurance, even though that's nice to have too, but mental endurance for that's tough. A lot of people view the world differently. We have thousands of different cultures, okay, even within the same continent. Let's use America. We like 50 mini countries. We looked at things differently, just within a nation. And then forget if you go to another country, that's even more radically different. Okay, and then it's not better or worse kind of thing. That's just how they view the world, and you have to be ready and flexible. Just if you want to merge, get to know them, or build a positive impact. And if you just could come in with a bigoted mindset that the American way is the best way, good luck. Not gonna be much of an impact. You all know you're gonna create an impact, just a negative one.
Yeah.
You have hostility. Okay,
A lot of hostility, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to go to one of the previous episodes where I went about the Middle East. We did some things right, but there was definitely some mess there. Okay, just check out P.A. Turner. Just check that episode 310 on that. And I'm not going to repeat any of that stuff because that was like, okay, there were some positives, but there was definitely a lot of negatives. We didn't bother learning culture. You just shoved the American way, and that just agitated the Middle East even more. That just going to say the short version of it. Okay. So, and this is what I love to you. This is debunking my assumptions because everybody has assumptions and biases. It's like, okay, now I could definitely be more I could be a philanthropist, maybe a minor one, even a minor one. You don't have to be like a Bill Gates or Warren Buffett wealthy or Elon Musk wealthy.
Even they have consultants. You have to think about that. It's not always just one insanely wealthy person. They need people who are talking to people and the different places listening. Like, what do they want to see? You can't go in, like you said, with an assumption of what wants they want. You have to go in from what would you need? What would you like to see? And not because I want to own you or put anything on you, but because I respect you and your culture and your way of being, and I want to be a part of it. And that is when cultures open up. That's when you get the ideas. So really, consulting is one of the most important things in philanthropy.
Yeah, they need their experts. They have all that money, but they definitely don't have the answers. So that's a very, very valuable point. And they can hire consultants because they obviously have the money. Look, I think for us, more moderate budget folks, I think we have to be our own consultants in a way that's good because we develop more skills than the wealthy person. So we'll definitely be useful there. Or who knows, we could be hired by a wealthy person to do some more work. But just all I'm going to say is this: I think a lot of clash happens when people think they understand people's values. Make sure your values are matched. I would say that, and you have the similar mission. Because if you go to somewhere, and let me just use me for example, if I go to a organization that cares about lowering drug offenses and all of that, I say, I don't think so. I'm gonna have a problem with that. So don't pick up. But if you want to join an organization like me, this is a real example. I'm in Braver Angels to restore a political climate, having conversations with one another. And me, I'm independent. So sometimes I'm too right leaning for the left, and sometimes I'm too left leaning for the right. And that's okay. This is why the the color of the podcast logo is purple
There
because
you
I'm a bit
go.
of a hybrid.
Love it.
I'm a bit of a hybrid. In some issues, I will definitely agree with the right. Fiscal conservatism, even though that's gone. Money issues, I generally side with the right. Cultural issues, I generally side with the left. I think the left has a little better understanding on that. So that's just a simple example of how I operate. Yeah, some things I'm going to agree with the right, some things in the left, and some things I agree with the left. And sometimes I think both of them are stupid or crazy. The immigrant issue, I think is it is a very good example for me. Biden had that border wide open. I was against it. Now Trump has it too closed. I was like, oh, there's no balance. My goodness, we need, we are a nation of immigrants. We used to be a little more welcoming there. I was like, well, I don't mind some restrictions, but now it's like it's a small gap. Before it was an open wide border. I'm against both. I just think we need to make the process of citizenship easier. That's just my opinion of that because the immigration system is broken, and I think this is something where two parties need to get together, and I think both parties have equally messed up on that. So I'm not with either party
I
until
feel
they
like
come.
most people want situational governance, and that's not Republican nor Democrat. It's situational governance. And that's always what I push because people are like, well, what are you? I'm like, I'm an enigma. I think it really depends on what is going on in that moment in time. I need all the information because my opinion's going to drastically change on the situation in that moment in time. And I think we need a lot more of that kind of rational, critical thinking, if you will, and a little less color blindness or, like, oh, it's blue or red. Like you said, you're purple. I think a lot more people are purple than we really realize when we come to getting down and having these open, honest, non-threatening conversations. You'll find out most people do lie in that middle ground, and the more life experience that they have, the more they're exposed to different cultures, different situations, the more they'll become purple.
Yep. We are. I say we are already a purple nation. Yeah, we got some reds and blue spots. But yeah, I mean, you're right. And polling will agree with that time and time again. A lot of people like good 40% in the middle. Another, no, not even. Sometimes even 50 in some cases. And then there's like a 25% here, 25% over there. They're very partisan. That they're not going to budge. And yeah, the country's more censored than people realize. I hate when they say it's center right. So no, we're not. I don't know. We're not center right. We are just center. We are really just a center nation. No, stop saying center left, center right. I mean, it could fluctuate between the two depending on the climate because it does change. It's not going to stay the same forever. So I agree with that. Situational and timely awareness is even more important. As for me, I was like I said, I would support some restriction of war, but now it's too restricted. Immigration levels are they're at a pace of 1970s, which is low. Okay, as opposed to 80s and onward. And especially Biden's mission, I was the biggest migration ever, people coming in. And look, I have my issues with that as well. I said, look, I think we need some basic vetting. We need to know these people are here for good. Whatever, most immigrants are here for good. Let me just be clear about that. It's just we need to weed out the rotten apples, get them out of the pack before they spoil everybody else, kind of thing. That's my mentality. It's not a perfect one, but it's something that I find it reasonable for me to work with. Instead of just saying, "Oh, all immigrants are evil." That's not practical either. We are interconnected world. Okay, maybe decades ago that was more feasible. We interconnected. We're more interconnected than ever. So I think we need to be globalized, and we need to stay globalized. Okay, and
Well,
isolationism
the
doesn't work either.
success for every nation and in the way we've grown are the ways we all live. We all need to be global citizens for the future, just because we will eventually run out of this or that, or there needs to be that understanding of we really are incredibly dependent on one another, despite how we would like to be independent, because that alleviates a little bit more stresses. I can understand the argument. That's my job, is to always understand arguments. um but then in reality, though, for the longevity of any society, you have to be global. It's a necessity.
Oh yeah, no, I understand that. And I'm. There was one time out there was leaning towards the right, but I said no. We get so much stuff internationally. I said that's such a dumb idea. Why I had to think it through. I said no, that's pretty. It's not practical unless you want to keep. I don't know. Generating more energy and all of that, but that's still draining our resources from within. We are interconnected. So this is the way it's going to work for for the foreseeable future for sure, and there's just no escaping it. And me, I think I prefer it this way because people are more interconnected. We talk to people in different countries. We got this technology and all of this stuff. It's good. I just don't need to talk to an American. I get bored with some of you, so I can talk to somewhere outside of the world, for God's sake. So it's great. It's to me, it's a good, and that's a perspective I have. I was younger, as I'm happy I reverted to that because I almost felt for the fear mongering, particularly on the right. And I did say sometimes I bash, sometimes left more in some episodes, sometimes I bash the right more. And yeah, come on, people, we're globalized, whether you like it or not, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not a bad thing, And look, I think it's for the better because we are social beings. So by nature. And even I think this, and you know what? Let me go back to what you said because I think I like a lot of it. This is the most real diplomat, philanthropist, traveler. You want to look? She's really pretty open about the mental health, about how she gets, um, upset because I mean these conversations, they will test you. They will really, really test you. And she found that outlet to let that anger go or whatever emotion she's going through. I mean, we're gonna go through emotions. And I say American men, we have funny relations. You and me, I'm learning how to be more comfortable with my emotions. Am I'm gonna show them all the time and cry every 5 seconds? Hell no. I'm not doing that. But we need to process them, especially for the men. This is why we dying off faster. Suicide rates is higher even among men, and we need to get to a point that we can process it. I don't. I mean, sure, you had something that a lot of men tend to do: work out, lift weights.
It's
Try
wonderful.
that.
It
So
really, I mean, it really does help. I've made so many wonderful male friends, and just hearing their stories of recovery, of getting out of a lot of really tough situations, and it's been such a lifeline for so many of the men that I know, that I'm always encouraging it.
that's or jog in the park, well, weather permitted. On that one, meditate, find something that's compatible to you. That's why I always say, and I don't hear a lot of people say that. Find something that works for you. She went through trial and error. You know what? That's okay. You're learning yourself.
I did a
Yeah.
lot of things that were just not the solution. Yes, it's a lot of trial and error.
And for those of you who are audio, you're missing out on this. You see the background, my guest here? It's a beautiful world map with a bunch of, I mean, the colors look a little messy, but I think it's the artistic purpose of it. Yeah. Oh, just look at that map there. I think split to three pieces.
Yeah, it's 3 pieces.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. And it's rainbow, but it's such it's I call it a beautiful mess, if that makes sense. It's not just America purple and Canada green. It's all just shaded. They're in harmony, all of these colors, and that definitely represents your work. So I'm not surprised why you picked that. Sometimes I was distracted by that art. I could have lied. So for those of you, you see shades of red, orange, yellow, a lot of the, rainbow oriented colors. There's no monochrome colors except for white. Other than that, but I don't see a lot of black in there, maybe for a few spots. Or I don't know. I'm getting probably a little colorblind. But
Yeah, every color is really in it. I just it's come to so many of my offices that I just love that it has any color in it. So no matter what my office ends up being, it works. And it's happy
yeah,
colors, so makes me happy.
yeah, no, they got a few, but the monochrome colors they're not dominant. That's the gray, the black, and all that. It's a to me I call it a beautiful mess. It's a map of the world. It's not in the way you normally present. See, mine's more like an elementary school. That's
I see yours, yeah.
yeah. So it's more of a and I had to get that. I'm lazy. I'm not gonna paint that. I said, just give me something that if I had to tear it down, just show what's going on in each nation, have something that's functional and efficient. But you know what? So for those of you who are listening, I will suggest you change it to the video version and go to about the 50 something minute or just even the beginning of it when she tells us pay attention to that map and he identify the countries there. I say you could tell by the continents, but no, some countries got like 10 different colors, especially the larger
Yeah,
they are.
yeah,
So like Russia, oh look at that, you see that.
everything.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
about everything. Greedy. That's why Russia's bad. No, I'm kidding. No, we got increase peace over there. On the serious note, no, to see. I rarely pay attention to art like that. So yeah, I don't know if that's for sale or not. Maybe when I move next year, I probably might want something a little similar. I hope that's for sale at some point. But that's your host problems. Yes, you can say that's your host problem. That's first world issues. I know. It's petty issues, but that's the issue I'm gonna have, and I'm probably gonna now look into that. If it's custom made, then that's tough luck for me. Oh well.
No, I think it was like Pinterest or yeah, I think it was like a Pinterest or an Amazon thing. Yeah.
Oh, there's hope. There's
I'm
hope.
sure you'll find it.
There's hope. Okay, once you said that, that's hope. Okay, I went from accepting disappointment to now just very happy. Okay. Uh, No, but you've been great. I mean, have she been real? Have she been great, people? I don't want to say around the spot, but this is real. And this is true positivity. You just don't toss out the negative or just act like everything is all right. Oh, I'm so happy. While the meteorite, I love using that example, the Pollyanna idiot, at the meteorite's coming to hit your town. And yes, oh yeah, everything's okay. No, we don't want that delusional kind of optimism. I think that's delusion. Okay. And I don't want that. I don't promote that either. So this is real pragmatic positivity. That's what
Yeah,
I try to
definitely
push
not
here.
not delusional. I'm not a perfect person. Like I said, I was very much like you 20 years ago, yelling and just kind of all over the place. And I'm from Philly, so don't think that I don't curse like a sailor and get frustrated. No, I'm very much a normal human being that just was able to really utilize these skills to better myself and the way I interact with the world around me.
Yeah, so this has been a great conversation between a Philly girl and New York City boy. So there you go. Northeast represent. California piss off. No, I'm kidding. I get plenty of people from California. Nah, I like you Californians. You're interesting to say the least. Now we all need each other. We need to stay united, even though we clash very, I would say even violently at times. So we gotta calm down with that on a serious note. But look, just do some philanthropic, diplomatic work, and just know that people are just they're gonna be passionate about their opinions. You can't be expecting to change people's minds. But at least listen and try to understand where they're coming from, and just pay attention that they're doing the same as well. That's how you know you have a good faith conversation. So just you trying to be rational, and the other one's just shouting, yelling, calling you a bunch of names, and smearing you, and
It's
all that.
practice. It's just a practice of look at it as a practice of self-control and no, they can't rock you if you don't let them.
Yep, exactly. So, all right, let's do the shameless plug. Let's do my guest first, as I always do. get to that website, okay? It's beautifully done website. Your eyes are not gonna fall apart, okay? It's not gonna become cross-eyed. It's a very beautifully done website. Black and white is used well, and the colorful photos. You're gonna see what kind of work she does. It's a non for profit. It's I forget the numbers. Is it 501c or
Yes.
503? Yeah, 501.
501(c)(3). Yes.
Sometimes I forget the difference of all of that, but it's a non for profit for plain English. Not
Yes, we
it's not
don't
for
make
profit.
any money. We don't take your money and put it in our pockets. Absolutely not. Every dollar we get goes towards programs.
Yep. So you got the plain English version of that
Plain
answer,
English.
okay? So, and she also got her social medias as well. Follow her on her Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. If you want the professional one, join LinkedIn. TikTok. Yeah, she got TikTok.
I'm hardly on it. That's not the best place to find me.
So you know what? Forget TikTok. You're not going to see the TikTok link. If you are using it, I'm not going to bother because I'm already constrained by 5,000 characters. So there you go. That's the reason to cut that one off. So LinkedIn, you want a professional conversation, Instagram for the photos, and Facebook for whatever the heck they do.
Whatever.
Facebook. It's just a whatever platform. They try to be everything. Yeah, it's nothing. Just be like Instagram's a good example that why you need to focus. See, they're focused on photos and art. That's why they stand out. And LinkedIn is more professional. Facebook, just find your identity. I'm not sure it used to be for past people connecting to the past. Used to have that, but that's been shattered.
Yeah.
A shame, really. And I got a lot more to say about Twitter, which I refuse to call that, but you don't have that, so that's good. I don't have to promote
I
that.
won't do it. I'm sorry. I can't. No.
No. Don't be sorry. I'm about to leave that platform anyway. So by early 2026, I'm out of Twitter because it's not a platform for me anymore. I'll try Blue Sky as experimental. If I see it's as woke as crazy as some of the right says, then I'll just leave that as well. But the permanent expansion is going to be on Instagram. I think I got a lot of stuff I got Instagram worthy content when I make my account there, and I'm sure I'm going to get some views and love, hate, whatever. I love all of you, even you're crazy people, some of you, okay? So now for my shameless plug-in. Like, comment, subscribe, share this with someone who you believe will tremendously benefit from this conversation. And for the audio people, rate on Apple Podcasts. I'm going to be expanding to iHeart as soon as I can. Can't give you a date just yet, but I'm planning to expand there as well. Spotify, I don't care for it. You can leave a review there. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to respond. Just being brutally honest. I love the Apple podcast system better. Now, that's just me. Spotify is a little weird and funky, and they go into leadership changes, and I'm happy that I don't pay attention to that. So that's my little beef. And my plugins, and these are the more free. Well, one is definitely free. One I would call is free-ish, depending how you select the option. New Paper, free. Short reads, no political spin kind of news. You know about the politics, the stock, the sports, international, national news. Very quick read, dry. It's very factual, and it's free to join. And for the free website guys, you'll be giving me money without ever giving money. It doesn't make sense, but just click on the link. They'll be giving me money instead of company. Join the website if you need a website. If you don't have one, you're a podcast or you plan to start a business, join there. You'll be giving me money without damaging your wallet at all. Okay, you'll be damaging probably the company's wallet a little bit. Ooh, a little exposed right there. But hey, you'll be helping me out without even giving me anything. And then feel free to donate if you want, $3 a month. So you want access to my old and more embarrassing content. I gotta hurt your wallet a little bit before you hurt me. So there you go, a little fair exchange right there. So and join Podmatch. Join Podmatch, please. The people who don't join Podmatch, I'm just gonna say it straight. What's wrong with you? I'm tired of digging through the threads of emails, and then when you have to update your little one pager, you gotta I don't know what software you use. You use Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. You got to make changes. You got to re-upload a PDF and then send it to me. And I've lost some relations with some of the guests, which I'm going to be honest. I don't care for some of you anyways. I want to be honest because some of you are just you operating in the past or hire somebody. If you can't do it, hire somebody, delegate. delegate people. Join Podmatch. It's a very organized, and you can just make changes right on the spot. Boom, just do a couple of types and save, refresh, boom, right there. Okay. And it has a great community of people. This is coming from a New Yorker who's normally very skeptical and don't trust people very easily. It has a great community of people. Okay. So just that's something to think about, especially if you want to be a podcast guest, join that. Or if you have your own podcast, join that as well. It's a very giving community. I will say that it's very giving. I've been there for 4 years already. It's a very good community, and they continue to do better and better. I'm amazed. I feel like they was stagnant one time, but they proved me wrong. Just join Podmatch. Okay, not using Podmatch, you're operating like you're in 2010. Come on, we in 2025. Come on, people. Come on. Alrighty then. Anything else you want to add before I wrap this up?
No, just feel free to reach out if you have any cool or interesting ideas. But remember, I'm a human being, so try to be kind, and feel free to reach out.
Be more forceful. You better be kind, all right? She hasn't done anything to provoke, or even inspire such negative attacks, okay? I mean, there's no need for it. There's no need for it, okay? Just behave, okay?
Thank you
behave.
for that.
On a serious note, behave. So now this is the end. Once you complete this visual or audio journey, you have a blessed day, afternoon, or night.